Predator Badlands this past weekend. It's time to stop and rank every single film in the Predator franchise. My name is Max, and we're talking Predator here on Max Talks Movies. So if you're new to the channel, guys, please hit that subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications. I do movie reviews, TV show reviews, out-of-theater reactions, movie franchise rankings like this, and every Monday or Tuesday, I break down the box office. So please consider subscribing to my channel and ringing that bell. I'm trying to get to 400 subscribers by the end of the month. So please hit that subscribe button. It would really mean the world to me. Comment down below. What is your ranking of the Predator franchise? Is this one of your favorite franchises? Is it not? Again, this is just my ranking. Love to see your ranking down in the comments. If you grew up with the franchise, what films did you grow up with? Would love to hear your thoughts down in that comment section. Also, guys, please hit that thumbs up button. So, I am someone who, yes, maybe not the top tier fan of Predator, but I would say I enjoy 5 of the 7 movies that I'm going to talk about today. I do want to say, going into this video, I am not including Alien vs. Predator 1 and 2. The reason why I'm not is I'm ranking just soul-focused Predator movies. I did that with Alien last year. I didn't include AVP in those movies. I'm not going to include AVP here. So I'm talking about Predator 1, 2, Predators, The Predator, Prey, Killer of Killers, and Badlands. Those are the movies I am ranking here today. So without further ado, let's get into this ranking video. Starting at number 7 for me in the Predator franchise is 2018's The Predator. Shane Black, who was one of the main cast members back of the original Predator, obviously turned out to be a very important filmmaker over the last 20 years, making films like 2016's The Nice Guys, for example, as well as Iron Man 3 and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. He became a top filmmaker in Hollywood. So it made sense that while he acted in the first Predator, he had the chance to bring back the franchise 8 years after Predators. And this film to me is a really rough watch. There are definitely some standouts that pertain to like cast members of actors who I like, if it's Boyd Holbrook or Sterling Kane Brown, Keegan-Michael Key. There's definitely a lot of actors that you enjoy in this movie, but this movie is a mess. Shane Black wanted to not just bring back the Predator franchise in 2018, but introduce a lot of wacky and interesting ideas and just took big swings. And while I respect his big swings, a lot of them didn't pay off. And you can really tell that this movie went through so many key reshoots where they shot the movie that Shane Black wanted to and then looked back on it, had to kind of crumple up a story back together. And the movie is just a mess. It's kind of the one film in this franchise I don't like ever rewatching. The movie can be quite boring at points. It's a weird ensemble at points as well. It's not a group of characters you're like rallying behind like you are in the Predator film in the first one. So I respect that Shane Black was trying to bring back what the original Predator movie felt like, but also balancing some new technology and some new ideas. I just think The Predator really missed the mark in that regard. So it comes in at number 7. Moving into number 6 for me is Predator 2. I don't think this is a awful movie. It's just a movie that's not for me. I respect another thing in this movie, which is the first Predator movie is obviously in the jungle. Don't want to just repeat what you did in the first movie. So we're in downtown Los Angeles for the majority of the movie. I really like from a world building perspective, Gary Busey's character, who's a government agent who is brought in thinking that the other detectives think he's just there doing his own intelligence and kind of ruining their case, but he knows what's chasing everyone in Los Angeles. He knows what the Predator is after the first film and is trying to stop it. That whole world building aspect, the multiple Predators at the very end of the movie, all of that stuff I really liked. Danny Glover is a fantastic lead for this movie. I love Bill Paxton. This, for me, though, is a miss because it is definitely a throwback police detective movie. But the problem here is that we're investigating the Predator, but as the audience, we know who is doing all these killings. It's the Predator. But the problem is all of our lead characters have no idea what this is, and we're so far ahead of the characters It just feels off the whole time. The worst thing you can do in a detective or mystery movie is be so far ahead of our characters, we make them feel like they're dumb. In this movie, we are so leaps and bounds ahead because we saw the first Predator. We see the clips in this movie of the Predator killing these people, but we're following characters that don't know what's going on, don't know the weapons being used. I think the downtown LA aspect has just never worked for me with this movie, where obviously, it works better when the Predator's camouflaging in the jungle, but when he just camouflaging in regular Los Angeles rooftops and things of the nature, it kind of takes away from the mystique of it. There's some good elements here. It's just a Predator movie I don't really enjoy for the most part. There's some good elements, but it's a miss for me on the story level. Moving into number five for me is 2010's Predators. I think this is a great concept, one of the best concepts for the Predator franchise, because it's obviously trying to reboot the franchise, but also showing the continuation of the first two movies. But the key difference here is we're seeing the Predators themselves capturing specific humans, bringing them to their home planet, and going on the hunt. That is an interesting idea. I have a lot of fun with Predators. I think the concept keeps me invested in the entire movie as you learn about this very huge ensemble, the developments on why each of them are kind of brought into the situation, if they're military people, if they're insane, if they're doctors, if they're crime bosses, all of these things, the diversity of this group of people makes this movie interesting. The actual Predators get in some violent action in this movie as well. There's some definitely some cast standouts. Alice Braga, Walton Goggins are definitely standouts in the cast. Adrian Brody again is one of my. I think he's a fantastic actor. He's a very weird choice where there's parts in the movie I like that he's the lead. There's other parts where he's just really trying to do this deep, brooding voice just to do it, to be like kind of like Arnold. And it just always pulls me out of the movie. When Brody's not trying to be that stereotypical tough guy, I think the movie worked, but the movie writes him to be this brooding, overimposing, kind of writing him like he's Schwarzenegger. But obviously, Adrian Brody is nothing like Arnold Schwarzenegger. So I think that miscast at times does pull me out of the movie. The Lawrence Fishburne inclusion really halts this movie as there's some energy going on and then it just halts. And overall, it's a weird ensemble because you have Adrian Brody, Topher Grace, Walton Goggins, Lawrence Fishburne, Mahershala Ali, Danny Trejo. Just a weird group of characters. I know that's kind of what the point is of the first movie, but there's some weird performances here. But for me, the charm is the world building, learning about the home planet of the predators, seeing multiple different types of predators, the fact that why would they want to hunt down specific human beings? Would there be an escape plan off this planet? And it sucks because this movie did not make enough money to continue this storyline because this movie ends on a cliffhanger of Royce and Isabel still there trying to get out as more humans are brought to the planet, setting up hopefully Royce and Isabel to getting off this planet. But obviously we've had no continuation. But I think this is a sleeper Predator movie. It's not one of my favorites, but it's one that I think is more underrated than it's given credit for in the mainstream. Coming in at number four for me is the newest entry to the franchise, Predator Badlands. I think this is a kick-ass time in the movie theater. It's kind of the perfect Predator movie to reintroduce audiences back in theaters with this franchise. It's a fun time, violent action. There are no human beings in the movie. It's either Predator or synthetic action going on. So you can get some ultra-violent stuff while still remaining PG-13. I think changing the franchise for the moment, having the actual Predator being the main focus of the movie, I thought was a big swing that absolutely paid off. The alien influence in this movie, as we have the Weyland-Yutani synthetics, I thought actually made a lot of sense. They didn't overcomplicate it. There's a reason why these synthetics were here going after the same creature that Deck was going on. And I also just cared about Deck's journey in this movie, where you learn about the tribes of the predators, how he's an outcast trying to make his way into that family, but also realizing what family should mean, and not just the people who you're obviously born to, but you can also have your own, a family of your own. And obviously, has this rough relationship with his father, contentious relationship with his brother. He wants to try to find himself, and that's where Elle Fanning's character comes in. I think it's a gorgeous movie as well from a production design perspective. Wherever they shot this movie, it is just a gorgeous landscape to do all these Predator action scenes. The score is awesome. I do think this movie tries too hard for the cheesy comedy, especially with the Predator himself. And I didn't think it always paid off. And there were definitely some cliche aspects to Predator Badlands, but I still find this to be one of the most fun experiences you could have in a movie theater all year long. Coming in at number three for me is Predator Killer of Killers. This is the Hulu original film that came out earlier this year. Anthology kind of movie. We're telling three different stories in the same universe, but in completely different time periods. We have like a Viking period, a World War period, for example. And the animation here is just jaw-dropping in this film where you could get I think this movie has the best blood, gore, and action of the Predator franchise. Its turn to animation, I think, really paid off. The dog fight in this movie is so awesome in the air where this guy is being chased by a predator on his ship, and I think it's a really thrilling sequence. The build up to the ultimate third act where now these three characters have to work together for some reason to get off this planet. We finally see the key home world of the Predators and seeing what kind of world building is done there. I found to be really interesting. Three distinct eras I think really popped. What always will hold this back is the fact that it is an anthology series. It's like a 90-minute movie. So we're kind of going 20 minutes with each big storyline to then culminate for the final 30 minutes of the movie. So I don't feel as emotionally attached to any of these characters that we're getting introduced to. The worlds are more interesting, like the time periods are more interesting than the actual characters themselves. I think I'll always hold Killer Killers for being like my favorite Predator movie. But from an action, gore, violence perspective, and from a look perspective, it's my favorite Predator movie. It's just a cast of characters I don't really connect with. So that's why Predator Killer of Killers comes in at number three. Hot take, I guess. Maybe we'll see what you guys think in the comments. My number two movie is the original Predator back in with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers back in 1987, directed by John McTiernan. Now, again, if I grew up in the 80s, this could be one of my favorite movies. But again, I grew up in the early 2000s, and I've seen this movie like 4 or 5 times. I always like the Predator, the first Predator movie. I think it's the best because I'm not the biggest fan of a lot of 80s action films. You can kind of see a lot of the same traits in all of those movies. Here, though, they add this dimension of the Predator. And while it took place while this movie was shot and came out in 1987, it's actually amazing how much this movie has held up. Even though you could tell a present day, like a 2025 version of Predator, makes sense to include the special effects and what this movie was going for, I still think the practical effects of this Predator in this movie really pops. And I think this film, more than others, really treats it as a horror action movie. Yes, there's the action, very cheesy dialogue, especially for Arnold throughout this entire movie, but there is kind of a horrifying aspect as you're walking through this jungle, you're being set up by your own military, and people are being burned alive, skulls are being taken out. It's actually a really horrifying situation. I think most of these films played off as just sci-fi action. And this movie does horror action, which I think is one of my favorite combos. Obviously, I love Arnold in the Terminator movies. He brings that here. I just love Carl Weathers, one of the most charismatic actors of all time, in my opinion. His relationship, the Dutch and Dylan relationship is still probably the best of the entire franchise. I don't as much connect to the remaining group of characters. They're all kind of just cliche, one-note team members. There's a lot of complexity to Dylan, especially where he's working for the government. He has this long history of Dutch, but then he also sets him up, then realizes he's also being set up by his own government. There's a lot of complexity to Dylan's character in his relationship with Dutch. And I think that makes those two characters pop more than the others. Anna just feels like a damsel in distress in this movie more than actual helpful part of the group. Um, and I think that's what holds us back from being like a top tier 80s movie because I love Dutch, I love Dylan. I just think the surrounding characters are very cliche and one note. But this movie is very intense, great action, funny, cheesy one-liners that fit the tone of this movie. And definitely a big fan of the original Predator movie. But coming in at first place for me is Prey, back in on Hulu a couple of years ago in 2022. The first film directed by Dan Trachtenberg. And this movie obviously takes place in a completely different time period than any of the other live action Predator movies. Amber Midthunder was a great find. She's phenomenal in this movie. I just think it's the most focused and personal Predator movie where it's very easy to throw random characters in the jungle, do some cheap action scenes, and just feel like a ripoff of the first Predator movie. This film once again focuses on one Predator, but it feels like a mano a mano kind of situation where we're focusing on one character going up against the Predator. But she's obviously has all of this culture and history that is brought through this movie. And it just makes it pop and feel fresh and unique to any of the Predator films we've gotten so far. The action is great. This is probably the most intense film in the franchise, where I think, obviously, it's what I love about the first Predator. It's a horror action. This is more of a thriller action movie where there's a lot more time you're settling down in serious family moments, serious, like, ancestral moments. And I just think the movie, you want to root for Naru as much as any other character I think of the franchise. I love Arnold, but I think Naru is the best leading character of the Predator franchise. You feel so close to her. You want her to succeed. You want her to succeed for her family, for herself, and the intensity of all these people being killed around her, building up to this crescendo of the third act. I really think Prey, for the right reason, has completely rejuvenized this franchise and given people like me hope of the Predator franchise, of it being brought back to prominence in the mainstream. And I think I can't wait, hopefully, to see Midthunder return as his character moving forward. So that is my ranking, guys, of the Predator franchise. What are your thoughts on Predator? Let me know down in the comments. Like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you guys in another video very soon.